I was at a rink in Edmonton where I'd learned to play hockey. And that's about as far as you can get from the grandeur of Rideau Hall. And I was there because I was putting up my hand to run for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada. And I was doing that because I knew our country needed to take action. We needed to act to fix our economy. We needed to act to fight the Americans. We needed to act to deal with Donald Trump's tariffs. We eliminated the tax on carbon for consumers, for small businesses, and for farmers to end the division that it was creating amongst Canadians. Because we are stronger together. We reversed the increase in the capital gains tax so that builders are encouraged to take risks and be rewarded when they succeed. When I met with the premiers in Ottawa on Friday, we agreed to eliminate barriers to trade and mobility inside our country. And the federal government is leading by committing to legislate the end of all federal barriers to interprovincial trade by July 1st. Together, we will push to create one Canadian economy by Canada Day, because we are stronger together. This past week, we acted to protect workers, using the proceeds of our retaliatory tariffs against America's unjustified trade actions. We acted to unlock major infrastructure projects and get them moving rapidly, including clean and conventional energy, critical minerals, and new trade corridors with reliable trading partners. We acted to create new supports for farmers and businesses during this trade war. We expanded dental care for millions of more Canadians. And we took all of these actions and more to create the foundation to build a stronger Canada. There is so much more to do to secure Canada, to invest in Canada, to build Canada, to unite Canada. That's why I'm asking for a strong, positive mandate from my fellow Canadians. I've just requested that the Governor-General dissolve Parliament and call an election for April 28th. And she has agreed. We are facing the most significant crisis of our lifetimes because of President Trump's unjustified trade actions and his threats to our sovereignty. Our response must be to build a strong economy and a more secure Canada. President Trump claims that Canada isn't a real country. He wants to break us so America can own us. We will not let that happen. We're over the shock of the betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to look out for each other. I'm asking Canadians for a strong, positive mandate to deal with President Trump and to build a new Canadian economy that works for everyone. Because I know we need change. Big change. Positive change. You see, my generation was fortunate. For us, there were more opportunities and life was more affordable. You had to work hard, but you could get ahead. That was the bargain. But for the generations that have followed, they're working just as hard or even harder than we did. But they're struggling to pay the rent, to put groceries on the table, and to save for their kids' educations. It's easy to be negative about everything when you've never fixed anything. It's easy to be negative about everything when you've never built anything, when you've never had to make a payroll. But negative slogans aren't solutions. Anger isn't action. Division isn't strength. Negativity won't win a trade war. Negativity won't pay the rent or the mortgage. Negativity won't bring down the price of groceries, and negativity won't make Canada strong. Our country has given me everything. I stood up in Edmonton 2 months ago, and I'm standing here today because I want to give it all back to Canada, so that every Canadian kid, whether they're growing up in Nanaimo or Montreal or St. John or Scarborough or Inuvik, has the same opportunities that I had, the same hope, the same confidence in a brighter future. It's time for all of us to come together and be strong. So I'm asking for your vote so we can be Canada strong. Canada fort. Vive le Canada.
Why are you throwing the country into an election in the middle of a tariff war? And if you think it's so necessary now, then why not make it longer so Canadians can really test drive you to see if you represent the change you claim to represent?
Well, a couple of things, Tonda. First is that we have put in place a tremendous amount of change in the 9 days that I have been Prime Minister. That includes changes to taxes, including the announcement today of a middle-class tax cut. But very importantly, we put in place protections for workers. So we made a commitment right from the start that we would use all revenues from retaliatory tariffs to protect our workers. And we put in place changes to the EI system in order to do that. I note that Mr. Poilievre has taken that money and said he will use it for a tax cut. Doesn't care about workers being in place. We put in place protections for businesses through this period. We have shown the scale of our ambition in terms of creating what Canadians have asked for. And I've heard this time and time again across this great country. Canadians want one Canadian economy, not 13. They want us to break down those barriers. So we brought together the first ministers, the premiers of the provinces. We hammered out a consensus about achieving that. We're picking up on the model that Nova Scotia and others have put in place. We're making a commitment at the federal level to legislate the removal of all these barriers by Canada Day, so we can have free trade by Canada Day. So we've done a lot. I could go on, but we've done a lot in the 9 days to put in place many of the foundations. But what's important is that the government has a mandate from the Canadian people to finish the job of building that Canadian economy, to finish the job of diversifying our trading partners, and to have a strong mandate to stand up to Donald Trump and the Americans and negotiate the best deal for Canadians. And that's what I will do.
After that meeting Friday night, you said you linked Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives to Elon Musk and Donald Trump's approach to cutting taxes, regulations, foreign aid. Mr. Poilievre's just staked out his own platform pitch to Canadians right now today, saying that he will stand up to Trump, that a liberal's still just a liberal. So on what basis can you fairly compare the Canadian Conservatives to Trump-style Republican Conservatives?
Well, first, the comparisons are quite easy. You look at the language mirrors, and the track record of language stretches back over years. It's not a recent phenomenon, so straight from the language, number one. Secondly, from the intention. So Elon Musk stands up and says, and the Trump administration eliminates foreign aid. Within a few days, Pierre Poilievre flies in and out of Nunavut and says, I'm going to eliminate foreign aid. By the way, doesn't talk to the Premier, doesn't talk to local Indigenous leaders while he's there, not our approach, obviously. So a series of words plus proposals which are uncannily familiar with the proposals of the Trump administration. Very different from our approach, very different from an approach, for example, to building a housing market, both offering much greater supply, very different from our approach. I'll give you one last example because I know there's a long lineup of questions. Today, we announced that we are going to expand dental care. Now, the dental care program that was put in place several months ago now serves 1.8 million Canadians. 1.8 million Canadians have received dental care under this program. These are people who could not afford dental care previously. Pierre Poilievre pretends they don't exist. We've just expanded the potential pool by another 4.5 million Canadians who also are in that situation. That is a very different approach to Canada. That's a Canada that brings Canadians together, protects all, and that's the Canada we're offering. One of the things that I would emphasize is that I recognize, and my government recognizes, the need to act dramatically and act rapidly to build an economy that's strong for Canada, to control what we can control, to build for us and by us. That's what we're doing. The other thing I would add is that we have some very strong members of our caucus, of ministers. I'm fortunate to serve with them. We are recruiting some exceptionally strong candidates across this country. Some have been announced. Many more will be announced in the coming days. This is a renewed government, and the proof is in the action, and the action has been considerable. Thank you.